Well, what's cracking, boo? Welcome back to Conversations with Carrie Lea, a faith filled podcast for women who love Jesus and real talk. Now, here you will get your fair share of stories, scripture, and laughter to help you grow, trust God, grow your faith, and find beauty in life's messiest moments. Now, how you holding up this week? Ooh, child. Like when I tell you I had a busy week, my social meter is on zero right now. I had full blown work obligations where, we're in person, conference mode, all that kind of stuff. But then also followed up with a really fun social event. So let's just say I'm happy to be connecting with you all and happy to have a little quiet. And you know what? I've just been over here stretching and drinking my water. Not to mention, your girl been taking her fiber because I need to get my cholesterol down. Oof. When I tell you that nobody braced me for life over 43. Not just life over 40, but 43. Oh, that's when stuff started to hit. First of all, the weight gain. And I think we have to just take a moment and realize that we are not our 25, 24-year old selves anymore. That girl is gone and your body looks different. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to take care of yourself, still eat well, exercise, do all the things. But I have to let go that 23-year-old Carrie and realize that like this weight gain, some of it, there's nothing I can do about it. And then some of it I can. Like I cannot eat my mama's cake, but you know, I'm trying to live life also. But the weight gain, it's so different. You have dinner, and then the next day you're like, oh, that's where that burger is because it's sitting on your arms. Okay, like it is a weird thing. But also now I have weird periods. I've had hair loss and the body aches. Child, when I tell you the way that I've been rebuking perimenopause and the havoc she is trying to wreak on my body, see, I can't even get my words out. That's how crazy it is. But I'm also taking supplements to give my body what it needs, because all of a sudden it's missing. I'm like, really? All of a sudden I don't have any iron. All of a sudden I need magnesium. All of a sudden I got to take probiotics. Like it is a thing. This grown woman life is not for the faint of heart. So listen to my internet nieces, my podcast nieces, listen to Auntie Carrie, okay? Because I'm telling you, things get different. So take care of yourself now. And you know what else is not for the faint of heart? Waiting on God. Yep, you heard me. Waiting on God. When I tell you that He is doing a great work in your girl, listen, child, like building patience has never really been a part of a strength of mine, should I say. It's never really been a strength of mine, but it's very much been a part of my walk with the Lord. And y'all, if I'm really honest, I understand that it's a fruit of the spirit. It's not my strong suit. So to know that God is perfecting patience in me right now feels a bit painful. Whew. I just feel like he's using so many different parts of my life to really get me to slow down. I was with one of my close friends, and she used the term, oh, yeah, I've got rockets on my feet. And when I tell you that resonated with me so much because I was like, oh, I understand what that means. I understand it. Like, I get a plan in my head, or I have like this set way of doing things, and I will move full steam ahead. Like, get in my way. Ooh, boo boo, you might get steamrolled. I once had a woman at work earlier in my career, my corporate career. She was like, I understand sometimes I can be like a bull in the china shop. And she was like, I think you might resonate with that. And I was thinking, I do, because you get in my way, or it's just like sometimes I can turn one way and knock some people over because I'm trying to see things, I'm trying to do things, I'm trying to move at a different pace. I just never really been the type to slow down, but as I talked in my last episode, like that rest is very real. And you know what? I've noticed one thing about myself: if something is taking too long to happen, I'll replace it with another. Like that has been my mentality for so long, but Laura's like, no, 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 no. And this mindset shift really started to happen in 2019. So let me give y'all a little story. I remember feeling like I had outgrown my home. It was my first home. At this point, I was in it for, I think this was year 4. going on year 5. And I was just like, you know what? When people would come visit, I only had one bathroom. I was just feeling like, okay, I need a little bit more space. But I didn't feel like maybe right in 2019, I didn't feel like I was necessarily in the right place financially to buy another house because I was thinking, oh, I want to keep this one and rent it out. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted, but the thought was starting to generate. Like sometimes it all just starts with a thought. And to me, home buying is not an impulse purchase in my mind. Like, you ain't about to have me around here house poor or regretting and having to do a bunch of stuff to my house because I didn't take due diligence to take it before the Lord. And, really dedicate time to deciding like what do I need to do. So I prayed about it and I really left it alone. And then 2020, as we all know, COVID hit. I'm at home saving all kind of guap. Like, I'm just saving, stacking up cash and feeling good about it. Like, I definitely came to a place where I was like, I am now ready for home number 2. And I prayed about it again, but this time I felt a distinct not yet in my spirit. Like, I feel like the Lord was saying, not yet. Okay. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. I got you. COVID continues and I'm seeing interest rates rise. And I'm like, God, shouldn't I take advantage of this before the interest rates gets too high? Like, shouldn't I buy right now? The rates were getting high and I didn't really want to be priced out. But he was still telling me to wait. And you might be like, okay, Carrie, well, how do you know he was telling you to wait? When I would get on Redfin, it's almost like there was a sense of, I'm not just, all I can say is that I kind of felt it in my spirit. Like, you ain't supposed to be on here. Get off. Like, get off of Zillow. You're not supposed to be looking at homes. That's not what I have for you right now. And I'm big on like, Lord, I want to obey so I can be in your will. And I just felt like it wasn't the right time. And if it's not the right time, I was like, okay, Lord, I don't want to get into something that you ain't blessed. So I was like, okay, I'll chill. I got off of Redfin. I got off of Zillow. I didn't even talk anymore with my realtor friend about it. I was like, let me leave it alone. And then fast forward to 2022, and I feel like the Lord could tell me I could start looking. And y'all, it was just kind of like oh, you can start looking. And because when I got back on Zillow and Redfin, I didn't feel like a sense of rebuke, if you will. Like, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, no, you can look. And then after I start looking, and me and my realtor are actually looking at homes, shortly after I start looking at a couple homes, I'm like, this might be it. I feel like the Lord tells me to move my parents out to California to live with me. Say what now? So, I had lived with them briefly during COVID and we get along really well. Thankfully, thank the Lord, I'm very close with my parents. So, and I vetted that decision out, prayed about it, and I felt like it was just a very clear, like, yes. And everybody I talked to was like, yeah, I can see that. Like, that makes sense. It was just pure confirmation. So I move in obedience. And y'all, when I tell you that God blew my mind and blessed me with such a wonderful home, much larger than I ever imagined owning. And I'm not saying that size is everything, but I knew we were going to need a certain setup because at the time, again, I was single and I was like, I knew I needed separation from my parents so that, when I did get married, I was like, my husband's going to probably move in this house. It was just a sense of knowing. It wasn't like I didn't have anything that told me that my husband was going to be okay with moving in this house. I was just like, Lord, I'm following your will and I believe that this is the plan for me. So this home, it really was the deal of the year is how my realtor put it. Like, she was like, I haven't seen anything like it. You really got the greatest deal, Carrie. And I was just so grateful, so blessed. And you know what? Waiting on God has never led me wrong. I mean, between the house purchase and even to waiting on my husband, I'm realizing that lessons on waiting is really how the Lord operates with me. And I think he operates like that with a lot of us, but I do feel like it's been a particular area that he's worked on with me. And I feel like between the house, the husband, and just life in general, I'm like, oh, I have stored up patience. I'm going to sit on that patience that I developed back in the day because I believe I had plenty of it. Amen. Amen, somebody. But God was like, nope, I'm not done. That was great. You got a glimpse of what I can do, but I'm not quite done with you. And y'all, the Lord has me waiting again. Now, this time is concerning some things with my job. And not to mention, he's just been building patience in me as I navigate being a newlywed and a new bonus mom. Like, mom life is very new for me. I have teenagers, which is not for the faint of heart because they definitely have opinions. They have personalities already built in. I feel like I'm like kind of thrown into the deep end in a little bit. But for any moms, teachers, I would say, or anyone who deals with kids on a regular basis, you know the patience I'm referring to in motherhood. There's a different type of like, oh, especially when you're trying to do it right and you're trying to make it so that they don't have tons of therapy in the future. This bonus mom life is just not for the faint of heart. And, I kind of went from being single and minding my business and drinking my water to being married and a bonus mom and living with my parents. I always joke around. The Lord was like, "Oh, you gonna get this patience today, beloved." And yes, I said, "Beloved." Okay, like I feel like Lord's just like, okay, I'm gonna break some things out. And of course, y'all know me. I take it to my word. And I was just like, Lord, who else had to really operate in this place of not knowing and then this place of like true patience? And I feel like if you know anything about the story of Job, God actually presents Job to Satan saying, "Have you considered my servant Job?" Now, Job's testimony is just one of such devotion to God that God knew that no matter what happened, Job wouldn't curse God. This is a man who got up each day and offered sacrifices for his children. He was wealthy in spirit and earthly things. And the way God has been stretching my patience and teaching me how to wait on him, I've often wondered, like, Lord, well, what is my testimony in heaven? Now, y'all, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going through anything like what Job faced, and nor do I want to. The Lord presented Job to Satan. And sometimes I wonder, like, Lord, what are you saying about me in heaven? What are you saying that, like, nope, my daughter, Carrie Lea, she can handle this? Or I know what she can handle because I'm waiting on movement at my job while it feels like I'm facing some unjust challenges and circumstances there. And to be honest, I've been tempted to run away. I just don't feel like that's what God has for me. And again, I have to go back to my word and I'm like, Lord, I know that you're doing something. It just doesn't make much sense to me. And sometimes I'm sure the Lord's like, yeah, it ain't got to make much sense to you because my thoughts are not your thoughts and my ways are not your ways. But, we try to wrap our head around it to see, like, well, Lord, we just want to figure it out. And again, faith is sometimes you just have to believe what the Lord told you. You have to believe what you've seen him do in other people's lives. I go back to when he bought me that house and I'm like, okay, Lord, you gave me this house. You had me move my parents out. So I know that you're going to take care of some things. And I'm just going to sit here and wait. So that was Job. Job had a certain testimony in heaven. But when I also think about somebody who really had to wait and they had to wait to receive abundantly more than what they even bargained for, thought about, and Joseph came to mind. And y'all, I love the story of Joseph. I think it's one of my favorites. So when you think about Joseph, I mean, he lived through false accusations. He waited in prison for God to come through, and he just had no idea what was going to happen or when it was going to happen. All he had was some dreams when he was 17. And he was put in a position where all he could do was wait and and just see what God would do. And not only did God exceed his expectations, he was made second in command to Pharaoh in Egypt. He was able to redeem his entire family. He was blessed with a wife and two kids. Like Joseph's life turned out totally different, and his dreams were actually prophetic dreams that he got to see. And I was just like, okay, Lord, I'm seeing some things. I've had some dreams. I feel like the Lord showed me some things, but I was like, you know what? I still want to keep looking. I need another example in the Word because sometimes you're just eager to feel like, Lord, okay, I've seen you do it for him. I've seen you do it for this person. You've done it in my own life, and you still want another example. So I feel like the Lord went to Hannah. And I love the story of Hannah, especially as I think about talking to women, because I think there are a lot of women out there that are, desiring a family, desiring to get pregnant, or whether they're married and sometimes they're single and they're just like, Lord, I just want this to be the next step in my life. And I love the story of Hannah because, Hannah was actually persecuted by her jealous sister wife, which okay, we ain't gonna go there today. We are not gonna get our Jerry Springer on today. But she was, persecuted by her little jealous sister wife. She was even ridiculed by a priest and accused of being drunk. So, I mean, like, today we would say that that was church hurt. But the Lord still remembered her, y'all. The Lord remembered her and allowed her to give birth to Samuel a mighty priest and prophet of God. Like, come on, somebody. Between Joseph and Job and Hannah, I just feel like these are the stories that are not just stories. They are meant to encourage us and say, Lord, if you did it for them, you can do it for me. And I just love Job's testimony because it proved to be true because he refused to curse God. And even as he lost everything, he got double for his trouble. So we got Joseph, who was made second in command, was able to deliver his family during the great famine. We got Hannah, who gave birth to a wonderful priest and went on to have other kids as well. And then we have Job. Now, like I said before, I have not suffered like Job, but I believe that God is building my testimony. And some of you can relate to that. You're thinking, yes, I've been in this season of waiting and it feels really hard. And just as God is doing some deep work in me, I'm outside my comfort zone in so many ways. He's doing the same thing to you. But there are lessons that I'm already realizing that I'm like, oh, okay, I see what he was getting at there. Like the level of pride that I was operating in, whew, Lord, forgive me for it because I feel like he's already taught me what humility looks like. And I am trying to bring that in so much because, when you're waiting on stuff, you start thinking about different things. And it's like, no, that is not God's way. So either way it goes, he's taught me a lot of humility. And also praying for your enemies, it will take on new meaning when people have lied on you or they are just difficult for no reason. And let me tell you, when Lord told me to pray for some people, I was like, I didn't want to. I honestly didn't want to because I was like, Lord, you're a prayer answering God. And if I pray all these blessings and good things over them, you're going to do it because that's what you do. So I was like, I kind of had to get my heart right. So would you let me know there was also some heart issues I need to work through and forgiveness so that I could pray for these folks and actually mean it and actually be okay to celebrate when like I see the things working for them. Y'all, like when you're waiting on God and you are trying to do things his way and you're facing any type of opposition and you're trying to follow the word, there is such a dying of self that occurs that, child, listen, I tell you, like it's RIP to my flesh over here every day. And while waiting, it's just never easy. And yes, it can challenge you, but I believe with all my heart that God is working behind the scenes and readying the blessing. And some days this is easy to believe, and some days not so much. But then that's when I go back to my word and I read about Job and I read about Joseph and I read about Hannah, and there's plenty more. David, like there's just so many examples. And I'm like, Lord, I want you to do the good, full work in me so I can receive the blessing that you have in store. And that means I can also walk in the will that you have for my life. So I have to remind myself, and I'm saying it to you as well, don't grow weary in well doing. For in due season, you will reap if you faint not. Child, I say this to myself, so I'm saying it to you. I want you to remember that everything that you're going through right now, everything that you're waiting on, is so purposeful. God is just not out here sitting back twiddling his thumbs like, oh, I wonder how this is going to play out. Not even a little bit. He has a distinct plan that was created before you were born. You are his masterpiece. He has set these things up for you to do a long time ago. And he's just building character in you. He's building his fruit, the fruit of the spirit in you. And he's just, believe me, it's going to work out for your good and his glory. And I'm saying this to myself as I say it to you because we cannot forget. And that don't grow weary is so real because life and all the things that come at us may not be for the faint of heart. But Lord is telling us, you will reap if you faint not. So I want you to hold on to that. And y'all know I got a journal prompt for you. So I hope your journaling has been going well, by the way. I hope you've been taking some time to just jot down your thoughts or even think about them if you're not a journaler, but like pray through these questions. But my journal prompt for this week is, what do you feel God is teaching you as you wait on him during this season? I'll repeat that. What do you feel that God is teaching you as you wait on him during this season? As I said before, he's taught me about my pride. He's teaching me true humility. And also he's building patience in me. So I would love to know, what is God teaching you during this season? Okay. Y'all be blessed. Peace.